well, I didn't know David a long time, but I probably knew him about 10 years. And he was always the nicest, sweetest man. And he knew everybody, and he spoke to everybody. And there were some people that he knew that I didn't even know, and I thought I knew everybody. So that's kind of the way I got to know him.
I was trying to think, how did I meet David? When did that happen? And I really can't remember. It just seems like he was always there. I'm not from this area. I moved here in the early 90s. My job brought me to the forensic lab on the other side of campus here, and ran that office for 20 years, and joined the symphony because I heard him play in the park one day, and they didn't have a second bassoonist. And I said, hey, I play bassoon. And signed up and tried out and been with the symphony ever since. Not remembering exactly when I met David, I know he has worked tirelessly with the board and as president as well, I believe. And being a former president 2 years in a row, it's a lot of work. And you could tell he really loved what he was doing.
We were Cub Scouts together, and our fathers were the Cub Scout masters. And David and I kind of met about that time. He had come here from Rhode Island. Is where his mother was from, and his dad had been up there in the Navy, and they moved back home to the Shoals.
I knew David before I took this job. I actually grew up going to church with David's dad. I was a little kid, and I remember his dad looked just like Santa Claus, and I would run up after church on Sunday mornings and pick him up, or he would pick me up rather. And then David's sister Debbie taught my brother in school, and so we were our families were around each other, and being from Muscle Shoals, I just was aware of David. But when I took this job, I remember David called me pretty immediately afterwards, and he said, Jeremy, you have my full support. And I really did. Ever since that time he called, anytime that I called him, anytime I needed anything, David was right there for me.
The nicest thing that David ever did was the thing with my father. My father was getting on up in age, and he started using a walker, and we would go to the basketball games, and the three of us would actually sit together. And after the game, my dad, even though he was in pretty good shape and most people knew Adolph pretty well, but he had a hard time getting around with the walker. And David was the only person that would ever ask me, do you need help with your dad? And I said, yes, it would be great. And he said, why don't you go get the car and I'll get your dad out to the car. So that touched my heart and made me ingrained, with David.
I heard a sermon at church one day, and it said, you can tell when somebody loves what they're doing because, number one, you can tell how they talk about it. And he was always excited about what was coming up and what we're doing, and how exciting it's going to be to present this program for the community. You can also tell by how well people support it with their money. And David was very generous, is my understanding, with the symphony. And as well, the third reason you can show how somebody loves something is how well they support it. And I can't think of a single symphony function that he was not at, that I was at. And usually I would come in late for the concerts, and I would have to come through the front door because I had to leave some tickets for someone, and he would always be there. He and the president, or Rick Smith at the time, would be there opening the door for folks and welcoming them to the show. And I thought that's a great way to pull people in and let them know, hey, we care you're here. Come back real soon and visit with us.
David had an exceptional amount of energy to do stuff like that. He didn't sleep. He stayed up, 3 o'clock in the morning and that kind of thing. You get the email and you go, why were you up at that time? But it was a continuous pursuit with David that he tried to engage everybody in the community. It was every catfish fry. It was every spaghetti supper. The pancake day with the Kiwanis. All those things were important things because you got to engage with the people in the community. And that was really his thing. He talked to everybody at the front door when they came to the symphony. And the symphony was a big, big deal because he felt that was a cultural thing that the Shoals area needed to keep.
In this 25-26 season, we really want to try and honor David's legacy as much as we possibly can, and we're going to do that through a number of different ways. The Series 5 of this past year, the French concert, we did the Fauré Requiem, and that was dedicated to the life of David L. Black, and that was really the first step. We knew we needed to do something, but it takes a little bit of time and a little planning to make sure that what we're doing is really going to be something that's valuable and represents him the way that we want to. So in this 25-26 season, we've got a couple of initiatives that we're starting. Number one is we're working to set up a legacy chair. So in your program, you might see that some of the chairs of the orchestra are named after people. Those are people that have dedicated life and service and monetary funds to the orchestra. We're going to get an endowed chair set up for David, and that's part of what he set up actually in his estate. Another thing that we're going to do to honor David's legacy, and this is one that is really meaningful to me, is I am writing a piece for orchestra to be performed at our Series 5 concert. You'll find out a little bit more information about that later. But the piece is going to be based on a hymn that we sang at David's funeral. That hymn was written by his father. And just, it was sort of taken by this recently. We were moving some things around in my grandparents' house. My grandparents went to church with David's parents and with David for a while. And that hymn from his funeral I found stuck to the back of a hymnal that belonged to my grandfather, and I saw that and I thought, what a great way to honor David's legacy. So that piece, There Is a Home, will be arranged and kind of worked with to create a piece dedicated really just to the legacy and to the support and all the things that David did, not only for the symphony but for the community and for the state of Alabama at large. So we're really looking forward to doing that, just as a very, very small token of appreciation for all that he did for all of us.